Peace and love, everybody. What's good? So, today I'm about to tell y'all exactly what this is. I'm not just gonna give you no little basic, okay, they're little negative ion generators. I'm gonna give y'all the complete science behind it and break it down for y'all. So, I'm gonna show y'all all the ones I made first, real quick. Got the copper pipe on this bad boy. Yeah. My little egg that I made. Little barrel. This was like on the day Alton Sterling got shot, so I put some shell casings in there as a tribute. Rest in peace. Black sun orgonite with the real gold flakes infused. Yeah. A little dinosaur Jurassic Park egg. Looked like a little hatched egg from a dinosaur, right? Yeah. Got the amethyst with two little quartz crystals wrapped in copper. And just a simple little pyramid. Alright, so what are these? What is orgonite? So, pretty much, people like to tell you that Wilhelm Reich, blah blah blah, found out about when you stack inorganic and organic materials that it produces and disperses orgone energy, pretty much the universal life force energy, chi, prana, electromagnetic energy, whatever you believe in, want to call it. It's all the same. So, pretty much inside every piece of orgonite is some form of quartz crystal, some form of metal, and they're usually made with fiberglass resin. And then people also use crystals of different forms to have different types of effects, because the different crystals you use, the properties that they have are pretty much what the orgonite will emit, also just on a greater level, because all quartz crystal amplifies other crystals as well. So how to make it is you get those materials, and it's best to layer them. So like some crystals, metal, whatever. How I did it on this one is, I got the copper wire. The metals is because you're pretty much producing electricity, because I'll get into it in a little bit, but they're piezoelectric. So when the crystal, is emitting energy, the metals will conduct it in whatever way and form or direction you want it to. And also the shape of the pyramid and structure has a lot to do with how the energy is influenced as well. So, uh, so the science behind it. So basically, I'm gonna break it down on a molecular level. I'm gonna start off with atoms. Atoms, everybody learned in school, have protons, neutrons, and electrons. Protons are positive, electrons are negative, and neutrons are neutral, they don't have a charge. And protons and electrons are usually balanced in that atom and have the same number. Uh, so the size of atoms, every atom is a tenth of a thousandth of a millionth of a meter. So that means if we took a meter right here, we could line up 10,000 million atoms side by side within this meter. So just to give you an idea of how many atoms are around us, like in a small space, if we took a meter by meter little square right here, we would fit 10,000 million times 10,000 million in this small little section. So you can just imagine how many atoms are around us all the time. And protons are positively charged, electrons are negatively charged. So now I'll get into ions. And with ions is how it works is a negative ion or an anion is an atom that has more electrons than protons. And then a positive ion has more protons than electrons, aka a cation. And negative ions are good. That's what orgonite produces. That's what these all shoot out. They turn those positive ions into negative ions. So you got positive ions going in here and they're getting shot out as negative ions. It's transmuting the energy. And even all the negative ions is collecting those two and shooting them back out. So positive and negative ions are going into this and they're leaving out as negative ions. So our ancestors knew all about this. You know, they like to make people think that we came from a primitive state of being. You know, especially black people make us think that we just came from slaves and everything else was just progression. Like, no, our ancestors weren't stupid. They knew what they were doing. That's why all pyramids and like Stonehenge and every megalithic structure is made out of stones like granite, because granite is made up of quartz, mica, and feldspar. And quartz is what you have to have in the orgonite because it's piezoelectric, which means that all piezoelectricity is the electric charge that accumulates in certain materials such as crystals, certain ceramics, and dig this, biological matter such as bone, DNA, and various proteins. So they even said it right there, in your face. Well, if you know how to connect the dots, it's low key in your face. They're telling you that you're an electromagnetic being, that you produce electricity because damn near the stuff that you made out of your DNA is piezoelectric. So there you go. Everybody knows that your nervous system is electrical and works off electrical impulses, and your brain and neurons and all that, but your bones as well. Sure. Apparently. Sure. So the electric charge that accumulates in certain materials, such as the things I named, in response to applied mechanical stress. So pretty much what that means is if I took a quartz crystal, I got a quartz crystal right here in the rose quartz. Rose quartz is in the quartz family, so it's piezoelectric too. So pretty much if I took this and that mechanical stress would be something like if I banged it or if I had enough strength and pressure to bend it, electrons will start shooting out of here and it will produce electricity pretty much, and they'll escape out of the endpoints of that crystal. So every point that's sharp, well, it pretty much is polarized, so one side will be positive, one side will be negative, and it'll be shooting out electricity. And in the instance of the orgonite, the mechanical stress that we have, the pressure would be the fiberglass resin that this is cured in. So when you put all these things into this little gel that you use to make it, and you put the catalyst in, when it cures, it shrinks and it squeezes down on that crystal. So 24/7, as long as this orgonite is alive for the rest of however long, it's shooting out, it's squeezing on that crystal constantly, and it's shooting out those negative ions. And then obviously the reason that you use sand in them a lot is because the finer grain the material for the metals and the crystals, the more you can get it like grained down to, you know what I mean. The finer it is, the better effect it has. So, and sand is made of 99% quartz pretty much, so that's why it's good to use sand. But moving along, so here's some facts about negative ions and in the environment that we live in and how these affect you, and positive ions as well. So negative ions can stop the growth and reduce the amount of airborne bacteria, mold spores, and dust mites by 95%. And they also remove dust particles from the air and even remove chemical pollutants by 52%. So, and this is all verified by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So, for people that like to fact check and all that, you can look this up. Everything is proven and verified. If you ask me, I'll prove it to you. So, they also increase the flow of oxygen to the brain, resulting in higher alertness, decreased drowsiness, and more mental energy. Strengthen the function of autonomic nerves, reinforce skin collagen, improve the permeability of the cell's prototype plasma membranes, which equates to just improves your metabolism, and they strengthen the body's immune system. They also stimulate the reticuloendothelial system, which is a group of defense cells in our body that marshal our resistance to disease and improve our capacity to absorb and utilize oxygen. Negative ions in the bloodstream accelerate the delivery of oxygen to our cells and tissues, speed up the oxidation of serotonin in the blood, which has great effects on mood, pain relief, and sexual drive. And it lowers the serotonin levels also in a way that it'll help you, because you don't want serotonin at night. So it lowers it, and you'll be able to get a good night's sleep. You'll have no nightmares, stuff like that. You'll be relaxed and get better sleep, quality of sleep. Now, positive ions, the bad boys, the bad stuff. Positive ions is all the stuff that comes from, like, cell phones, laptops, cell towers, all types of electronic devices. Positive ions in the bloodstream have a negative effect to metabolism rates, weaken the immunity, and contribute to premature aging, while negative ions have the opposite effect. The famous alkaline diet is based on this effect, which equates acidic foods, positive ions, alkaline foods, negative ions. So if you're eating an alkaline diet, pretty much a plant-based diet, and you're eating electrical foods, this creates an environment in your body to where disease can't exist, because for disease to exist, it needs to be in an acidic state. And acidic foods are stuff like processed foods, like pizza, McDonald's burgers, and all stuff, like anything that's pretty much not natural is acidic. And just to give you an idea on how many ions, just a range limit, a waterfall has 7,000 negative ions. And the human body needs around 700. A city contains about 100 negative ions. That's real low. And a forest contains about 1,000 negative ions. So, due to increased air pollution, anions are decreasing every year, and cations, which are harmful to the human body, are rising every year. And a doctor named Dr. Horiguchi concluded that the causes of illnesses are mostly due to the acidification, oxidation, and oxygen-free radicals that are released in the body. And oxidation damages cell membranes and other structures, including cellular proteins, lipids, and DNA. When oxygen is metabolized, it creates free radicals that steal electrons from other molecules, causing damage. So, yeah, you want to stick to an alkaline-based diet, and when you go to sleep, turn off electronic devices and stuff. And if you can, man, get crystals and orgonite and keep it around you so you can get those negative ions. Oh yeah, and Dr. Horiguchi, he also did a test and a study experiment or whatever on some mice. He gave them cancer, and one of the mice that he gave cancer, he kept in a environment and pumped them full of negative ions constantly. And then the other rat, he gave cancer and just left alone. And the rat that had cancer, that was around the negative ions, he lived. His cancer was pretty much stabilized, and it never grew or anything. And he lived 2 months longer than the average mouse test mouse would, which is 10 months. And then the mouse he gave cancer to died in 2 months. So you got what? The negative ion mouse lived 12 months and the other one lived 2. They had the same cancer, so he lived a whole 10 months longer than old boy. So you can see how powerful and how influential and important these negative ions are. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a spiritual warfare going on out here, and they taking advantage of the stuff that we take for granted and can't see. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So get you some negative ions around you, and what else? Oh, water. Distilled water is good. That's straight. If you mix, because disease can't exist in the body when it's in an alkaline state. So if you put some baking soda in your water, that makes your water alkaline, and it'll help your body get to an alkaline state faster. Drinking alkaline water obviously helps that quicker. Plant-based diet, like I said, no meats. Yeah. So yeah, stay happy, stay healthy, peace and love. I love y'all.